Hey, welcome back to hour number 5 of Pure Adrenaline here on Stylin Radio. This is your host, West Coast Paul, in the house with my good buddy Izzy.
What's up?
What up, Izzy?
What's up?
Hey, final hour, man. You got one more. We get to do our thing, play some more outstanding music, and then it is time to head home and start it all over tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here and get something to eat and go play Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh, yeah, dude. You know what? I do Wii bowling. So, hey, I didn't really quit, and it doesn't really count. But man, I love Wii bowling. My wife laughs at me because I'll play it like an hour at a time and get all tired and whatever, and go take a nap because man, that's what old people do. Hey, I tell you
what. 2 years ago, I went and bought me a Wii. Because I'm into video games and stuff, but man, them some bitches were hard to find. So, they're out there. I mean, you can find them, but what condition,
Yeah, well, here's the secret because of all my kids. So, I'll loan you one. I have 5 of them, of the old Wiis. I got some newer ones that, the kids had. They've moved on to theirs, but I have 5 of them. I'll have to bring you one. Well, we used to be huge in this house into Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
And, because, again, when I was a kid, I played a little bit of guitar. I was actually in a band called Bad Medicine. And now we sucked. I'm not going to say we were anything good. I was a rhythm guy because that's all I could really do. And I was okay. But, it was fun. And I, at some point, just kind of, I don't know, playing it was cool. But 14 years ago, I coached football, and I was coaching a youth program, and inside 3 weeks, I had 2 fingers dislocated. And so it became really hard on my left hand, the string hand. It was really hard to play. I have not played since. So that's just the way it goes. But, Guitar Hero, man, that could replace it. It was fun. It was great.
Yeah, and a lot of people learn how to play guitar using Guitar Hero.
Yeah, they get an semblance of rhythms and get an understanding. And I actually, with the kids, we morphed from Guitar Hero, and then I was trying to teach them how to play a little bit. And we got a couple of programs you could plug in and play with and do, and that's when I realized that I was never going to be able to, actually play. It just hurt so bad from those fingers, and they'll never be the same. But I love coaching youth sports, and so that made it. Who cares? It was so exciting. Speaking of that, on that youth sport thing, the first one I was doing, they were 10-year-olds that year, or not my first coaching, but the first day of coaching for that year. We were out doing our thing, and I held my hands out, did something, and I say, kid popped my hand, and he popped my finger, and the pinky finger on my left hand was it made an L at that second knuckle. And it's like, oh, dude. And I'm looking at it, and here's, I think, 7 or 8, 10-year-old kids, and their eyes got as huge as saucers going, oh, shit, look at that. And I'm going, man, I can't leave it like that, and I can't let the kids know I'm hurt. So I grabbed it, pulled it, and put it back into place and say, here, let's go. The rest of the year, every single kid on that team basically bowed at me and respected, going, how in the fuck could you do that? And I had no issues. That year was great. And I can say about 3 weeks later, they popped another one. It's when I learned to keep my hands to myself. But man, there's nothing so good as doing something like that and then having them all go, dude, man, no, hey, you are badass, man. No, I'll never be able to do that. So that was fun. I regret it now as they're still a little sideways, but hey, who cares?
Yeah, it happens.
Who cares? It happens. So my guitar playing days, I tried to pick one up about a month ago because I still got my Kramer, and I got it. Anything else I had is gone. And I tried playing, and it's just not, one, having not played in so long, there's no calluses, it's all gone, and I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to do it. It's frustrating when you used to be somewhat good at something, and then you go back and you try to do it. whether it's sports or music, and you realize that you just don't have hardly any, ability to do it anymore. It's like, never mind. So it's like when you mentioned on skates and or doing things, at what point do you just kind of have other hobbies? Because those things that you used to be great at, you just don't do them.
Yeah, and I was talking to a good friend of mine that I ride freestyle bikes with, and he sorry, here I got a message that just come in. Um, you know, he was a huge advocate with Flatland Freestyle, and now his life's kind of changed. He's older, and he's recently sold his bikes, and now he's talking about selling all of his magazine collection and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, I mean, damn, I mean, you went off the deep end, I mean, but people's life change, and this and this, and
Yeah, there was a time I had a 10-speed racing bike. And for those out there who don't know, the racing bikes, you wear, especially back then, and today I'm not as sure, but you wore special cleats that on the bottom of the cleat had an oval lock, and you would have to turn your foot sideways into the pedal and rotate it, and it locked your foot and your shoe onto the pedal. And when I did some, not really competition, but some local things with guys in racing, you do that so you use both sides of your legs. You use both the hamstring, and the quad to do it, and you can get moving and you do really well. The problem with that is, man, when I was first learning to do it, you don't know how many times I ended up laying down in a sidewalk or an intersection or grabbing a tree, because it's an art to learn how to unhook that cleat when you come to a stop. And if you can't do it in time and your feet are locked to both pedals and you're about to stop, gravity is really, really a bitch at that point. And you're just looking for a place to land. And it was funny how many people were coming over, man, are you okay? Because there's a bike laying on me. And I'm laughing and I'm trying to get my foot undone. And finally I ripped my damn foot out of the shoe. And one of them, I literally crashed into the sidewalk in the street. I knew a truck was going to come and turn me into a road splatter, but lucky it didn't happen. Those bikes, that was cool, and it's a little different than the BMX stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you were into there, but man, I only did that for a while. I got beat up from that thing. Those guys, because that's what they do when they ride like Tour de France and others, where your feet, locked into it. And I guess they got different pedal setups now, but god damn, there's nothing more terrifying than coming to a stop and realizing you can't unhook, and that bike's going to stop. And when it does, you're going to go down.
Yeah.
All you can do is whimper.
Yeah, and a lot of people know since 2020, I started riding mountain bikes, and I've always said, look, I'm not one of those spandex people that you see them on the road when they should be on the fucking sidewalk and you want to run them over. That's the whole reason why I never got into that shit,
Yeah.
But in 2020, a friend of mine in Missouri, they're building all these greenways, all these bike paths, you know what I'm saying? And realistically, they're probably building them in case a war breaks out, there's paved paths, But there's tons of places to ride, and so I got into riding mountain bikes, but I won't wear a helmet, and I'm not a spandex person, man. I'll wear, my shorts, and like I'll wear like a throwback company jersey, for GT or something, but right now I should realistically, I've got this stuff. I just need to put it together and set my mountain bike up so I can ride in the house. And, there's tons of videos on YouTube that you could just pull up and go for a ride. There's also, the Olympic stuff where you can chase Lance Armstrong around, you know what I'm saying? And they've got those bikes. But I don't want to invest money into that, because then that means that's something else. If I want that, I can go to the gym, and I've got a gym at my condo that I can just go to and do that. But in the same sense, I mean, I work out, sometimes twice a day, but I always work out in the morning. And then, but I really need to get my bike set up so I can do a 30-minute ride. You know what I'm saying? And where it's just stationary. So, but yet again, by the time I set that up, it'll be spring and I'll be riding anyway. So,
yeah, because I had one of those stands with the bike, where you get the back end up and you could pedal and do your thing, and it had I'd say a braking device, but it made it where you could put more pressure on it, and that would, make you pedal harder or whatever, like if you were actually out on the street. And today's stuff now with the cuffs and the things you can wear where it detects body things, like you say, you can actually get a program in and ride, and it'll have, like you say, you want to ride the Alps, and as you lean and do things, the screen in front of you will do it. And that's really, really cool. But I still, same thing, man. If you go to the gym and you see the bikes there now that they have and stuff they do where you can hop on them, and they got the big screen and say, geez, where do you want to run or where do you want to ride? And you click a button and you're anywhere in the world. So that's a lot more fun than having my foot stuck in a pedal and ready to see a tree.
Yeah, and neither know I ride mountain bikes. I've got several different mountain bikes now, so I've got some that I ride on the bike paths. The tires are different. Then I've got the huge Moonshiners Trail literally in my backyard, and that's where they do the Heartbreaker race once a year. And so I've got tons of stuff I can do. And then, of course, I bought the carbon fiber GT bike, and that's like the Tour de France. I mean, this thing is just fucking so lightweight, but I bought it because I'll go for a ride on the Greenway, and I'll ride an hour out, get about 25, 30 miles in, and then ride back. So you're about 50, 60 miles a day. Well, my thing is, if I had a different bike, how much further could I go? Well, of course, I made a deal, bought this bike from a guy. He had the clip-in shoes, and me and you were talking about, you crashed real hard, and you were like, did you get the shoes? And I'm like, no, his foot size was different, but I'm going to put regular, pedals on there. Of course, I got some titanium pedals. I had to wait for them to come in, but I haven't got to ride that bike yet. And I'm curious if I ride on my mountain bike, let's say I go out on a Tuesday and I ride out an hour and come back, and then on Thursday do that same ride, how much further will I go before my phone goes off and says you reached an hour? Because the gearing's different, it's lighter, but then again, I haven't been riding. I've been slacking, so that's going to be a fun thing in the spring, getting back into it. And because I know how far I can ride in 1 hour. Did the winter blues get me down and I can only go part of the way, or can I go the full way?
Yeah, and for, listeners, others out there, if you haven't ridden one of those lightweight mountain bikes, they are just nuts. You can lift them with a finger now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the
heaviest damn part's the damn tire.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. When I bought this bike from a friend of mine, because he was upgrading, and I really have no business buying this bike, because it's spandex warrior type bike. This is what they use in Tour de France, okay?
Yeah.
But I've been to the bike shops. The carbon fiber bikes are going from $15,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
He was upgrading. I know the value of this bike, and it was a good investment for me, whether it didn't fit what I needed to do, but it's a badass bike. I mean, it was designed by people that work for Ferrari. I mean, if they can design a Ferrari to go 200 miles an hour, what about a bike, So, but then again, just because something's designed by somebody doesn't mean it's the best. But this bike does have the best of the best of the best shit. But my first thing I said, man, if I hit a curb with this or try to hop up on a curb, I'll probably break the fucking rims.
Yeah, because everything is when it comes to the wheels, they try to take the weight out of them, and they do, and they do it for good reasons. And the tires are so thin. That was the hardest part that I had on mountain biking, was the thinness of the tire, because the less friction, the faster you can go. And you just don't want to hit something that's a little bit slippery, because you do that, you're picking gravel out of your body parts. And it's one of the funnest things out there, and it's hard. It's one of the hardest things out there, for damn sure. My thing now with bikes, my wife bought me an electric bike, and by that it's an electric assist. So when you pedal, there's an electric assist motor that actually helps you go. And I can get up to 40 miles an hour on that thing. And I did that once, and I'm like, man, I don't want to die on this bike. So I toned it down a little bit. But those are really fun. And I take that out, as you know, instead of driving here and there, I can go 4 or 5 miles on it, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
And, that's the old folks one. The next bike I have will have either training wheels or a cane on it, so yeah. I can use it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, this carbon fiber bike I got, you're right, the tires are probably the heaviest thing, and I've spent a lot of time, I mean, like, well over an hour just looking at this thing compared to my mountain bike is pretty state-of-the-art, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's got nitrogen shocks in the front. I mean, this thing, I'll tell you one thing, from going from the GT Aggressor to this Outback Pro is like night and day. Because my biggest thing with the other GT bike, there was no suspension. It was rigid. So I'm riding these trails, and it's beating my forearms and my wrist up. And so, you get done riding, your hands hurt, but then the next day it don't hurt. But then the third day it kicks in. Well, the third day is when you're going to go back out riding again. Because I typically go every other day. In the summer, when it's hot, I generally go in the morning. So there's some mornings I'll work out. There's some mornings that I'll go riding. But when I switched over to the new bike with the suspension, it was night and day. As soon as I got the suspension dialed into the way I needed it, because one, I had it too hard, then I had it too soft, because, you would lean forward and it was like you're going to flip over the bars. It would compress so much. But I've got it to where I like it. I like the gearing in it. I did have some different gears put in it. For me, every bike rider is different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even my freestyle bike that I use, the gearing it's got a different cog on the back of it, because there's everybody's got their own certain speed that they want to go at. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But with that said, guys, man, we're coming to the end here. Glad you guys hung out with us, and Sonny's coming up here at midnight. So you got anything else you want to say, Paul?
No, we got just a little bit more of some pure adrenaline rock for you. And then, like you say, Sonny will be up here in about, 30, 40 minutes. And, enjoy the rest of your evening. It's been a great week. Glad everybody's here. I'll be back. Iz will be back. We'll see you or hear you, or you'll hear from us, I guess, next Tuesday. And until then, everybody take care, man, and rock when you can. Appreciate you.
Yeah, so we're going to get out of here, guys. You guys be safe, and we'll be catching you next Tuesday, or you'll hear me tomorrow on the afternoon show. So I'm out of here.
West Coast Paul out.